Why is it that my JoJo videos are the only ones that do well? Even my first video, which is complete dog shit, has the second most views on my channel. Are JoJo fans just constantly foaming at the mouth waiting for more JoJo content to vor? Wait, shit, that's me. Well, anyways, here's some more JoJo content for you guys. When people are often discussing JoJo's, they often discuss things like the opening, the JoJo's, the villains, stands, the fights, whether we're posing or just being gay. But I'm not going to be talking about any of that. As you can tell from the title, I'm going to be discussing and rating each of the minor antagonists in every part. The ones that sort of act like a mini boss, you could say. So I'm going to be taking what most people believe were the major minor antagonists. See what I did there? An oxymoron. Jumbo shrimp. Bittersweet. Toasty Manian views. I'm going to be starting from the bottom and make my way towards the top. And I'm only going to be talking about each of them for like 30 seconds or so. Otherwise, this video would be like 30 minutes long, and I think that would be a bitch to edit. And what I'm judging is the impact they made, the overall characters, the fight they partake in, and personal enjoyment. And please don't forget that this is my opinion. With all that explaining out of the way, let's get started. At the very bottom is part 4 with Akira Otoshi. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I honestly didn't like him all that much. Don't get me wrong, he's a good character and a decent villain, but the main issue for me is that he didn't leave all that much of an impact. Like, yeah, he did help develop Okuyasu's character a bit, but after his fight, which I'm already not a fan of, they just sort of forget about him. Like hell, I completely forgot about him as well. I was about to pick the Aqua Necklace user for this list, but only after doing a bit of research did I remember about Akira. And that's all I have to say about him. I know that's not a lot, but that's sort of the reason why he's at the bottom of the list. At number 7 is part 1 with Bruford. Here's the thing, there isn't a whole lot to talk about when it comes to Bruford. Everything is very surface level, you know? Arg, me no actual bad guy, but good guy instead. I don't know, I just really liked the fight in the anime. The visuals were great and so was the OST. He also had a pretty big impact on Jonathan. He was the one that sort of gave him the courage to face Dio. At number 6 is part 3 with Vanilla Ice. Alright, part 3 was a bit of a weird one. A lot of people seem to think that Whole Horse was the best minor antagonist, but fuck that. I thought Vanilla Ice was way better. You know, sometimes the majority of the people are just wrong. Vanilla Ice may be at the third bottom, but he's still a great fucking villain. And the one that's in front of him isn't that much better. He is, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but he is the first one to kill a Jobro in an instant. Avdol's death really set the tone for the rest of the fight and for the rest of the part as well. His fight is personally one of my favorites in part 3. It is the first fight that had any sense of actual fear in it. Knowing that at any moment you could just drop fucking dead is completely pants shitting scary. Both Iggy's and Avdol's death were really great, and Poloneff's resolve was mwah, fucking beautiful. And also, it was cool seeing Dio trust someone enough to let him become a vampire. At number 5, we have part 2 with Wamu. Like I said in the previous section, it was a very close call between Wamu and Vanilla Ice, but it had to come down to personal preference, and I just personally prefer Wamu. Of course, his fight with Caesar was fan-fucking-tastic, and I love his whole honor code thing. And he actually acts in line with his moral code. He honored Caesar's death by leaving the bubble alone, and he kept his promise with Joseph. Or at least he tried to. We just don't get to see a whole lot of villains in JoJo that are very honorable. And I just slurped that shit up. I love when a villain is honorable. It's a really nice change of pace between all the scummy, gross, greasy villains we get. Alright, from here on out, I feel like that my list is going to be quite different from what your personal list may be. I like to think that the first 4 entries is something that most people could agree on, but after that, it's going to be quite different from each individual person. But let me say this, all the villains from the rest of the list are all really, really good. I had a hard time trying to decide who beats who. Yeah, the first 4 were pretty good, but they just don't stand a chance against these last 4 entries. They're just on a different level in my opinion. Alright, enough beating around the bush. I mostly said all that just so you guys won't fucking flame me for my opinions. At number 4 is part 5 with the big titty goth himself, Risotto Nero. Besides being the best Hot Topic employee, I think Risotto is pretty damn good. Well, shit, obviously. As I mentioned in the last entry, there isn't a whole lot of villains that had a little honor to them. But Risotto is one of those villains that do have some type of honor to him. He wanted to get revenge for his comrades. He didn't want their deaths to go in vain. And I have so much respect for him as a leader. He's not that different from Bucciarati. And like, holy shit, I absolutely love his fight. His stand Metallica is one of my favorites. The fight was pretty damn good in the manga, but then David Production just fucking burst in and says, hold my beer. Like, my god, this is such beautiful animation, you feel me? It's just kinda sad how they did him dirty. I really did wish he got to see the main crew. Number 3 is part 8 with Tamaki Demo. Tamaki Demo is like the exact opposite of Risotto. On the surface, he seems to be this cool, calm, and collected drug dealer, but in reality, he's just some fat, greased up fruit dealer that doesn't give a shit about anyone but himself. He was just some loser that begged Josuke for his life at the end, which, you know, Hat Josuke said no. But it was great to see how ruthless Josuke could become at times. But it made sense in the situation he was in at the moment. I mostly put him above Risotto because I thought it was way more satisfying seeing him die than seeing Risotto die. Finally getting to see this gremlin who's been harassing the Higashikata family get what he deserved was just the most gratifying thing I've ever seen. And his fight was really good. The couple fights prior to him were lackluster, so seeing Vitamin C go to town was just very much needed. And it was also when we got to see Yoshikage Kira and Joseph Fumin, so that was pretty dope. Alright, it's time. It's time to find out who is the second best minor antagonist. And it is...
Hey, Vsauce.
Oh, wait, no, Versace Donatello. Versace is one of the few villains that actually get a full-length backstory, and it's pretty tragic. Not only did he had an enormous impact on the story and how it eventually turned out, but he managed to carve himself his own identity. He went beyond simply being a child of Dio. He had his own motives and ambition. It's sort of like what Whole Horse did, but way better. His stand Underworld and the fights he partake in, being the Underworld arc and the Heavy Weather arc, are some of my favorites in part 6. And I like to think he's sort of the reason why the part became way better. Children of Dio were cool as well, but Donatello just felt way better in comparison. Well, by process of elimination, all that's left is part 7. And it's of course the slim, sexy, noble cowboy himself, Ringo Road again. I don't even know where to start with Ringo Road again. Like with Versace, he also got a full-length backstory. His fight with Gyro was one of my favorites in part 7. Also, his ideology with the True Man's Road is really interesting. And he's sort of the only minor antagonist that follows any kind of clear-cut ideology. He also had a pretty big impact on both Gyro and Johnny. It was because of him that Johnny let out his bloodlust for the first time, and he was the one that taught Gyro the ways of the True Man's world, which is what inevitably led to Gyro's end. And I think he was the only one that had the ability to control time besides the main characters, of course, which kind of just made him even more special in my opinion. Overall, I love everything about him. His name, his stand name, his design, especially his design, and him as a character. All of it's perfect in my opinion. Well, that's my list on the JoJo major minor antagonists. Let me know, do you think my list is complete dog shit or do you think it's valid? And don't worry, I actually really do like making JoJo content. I am a bit salty that it's the only thing that gets me views, but I'm fine with that. But I'm not going to become a JoJo YouTuber because I don't completely hate myself yet. I also don't know why I'm calling out all the JoJo YouTubers all of a sudden. Yeah, fuck it, whatever. I already called out Medi Not the Bad Guy and the Juice Man in my first video. Why not add a bit of gas to the flames, you know? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And as always, have a good one.